So next topic is basic property of the rental material. Remember, matter exists in three states. Matter can be in three states, that can be solid, liquid or gas state. The difference in form is mainly due to the difference in the energy. The matter is made up of atoms that are held together by some forces. Remember, the gaseous state has more energy than liquid and solid state. So the molecules in the gas, they have certain amount of mutual attraction. They can easily diffuse. Although the atoms may be diffuse in liquid state, their mutual attraction are greater and energy is required for this separation. What is latent heat of fusion? So the latent heat of fusion is change in the enthalpy resulting from providing energy, typically heat, that changes its state from solid to liquid. So the substance that changes from solid to liquid by applying heat at constant pressure is latent heat of fusion. So the latent heat of fusion is that the temperature remains constant as the solid turns to the liquid. And on further heating, the latent heat of vaporization, that is, as the liquid turns to gas, is known to be latent heat of vaporization. The atoms are held together by some forces. So these interatomic bonding forces that hold atoms together are the cohesive forces. The interatomic bonds may be classified as primary bond or secondary bonds. What are the primary bonds? The primary bonds, remember, are the ionic bond, covalent bond and the metallic bond. The ionic bond, they are formed by the transfer of electrons. The ionic bonds, they are formed by the transfer of the electrons, whereas covalent bond, they are formed by sharing of electrons. The ionic bond, they are formed by the transfer of electrons, and the covalent bond, they are by the sharing of electrons. Third are the covalent bonds. Covalent bonds versus metallic bond. These are the covalent bonds that they are formed by the sharing of electrons, whereas the metallic bond, there is electrostatic attraction between the electron cloud and the metal nuclei. So one of the chief characteristic of metal is its ability to conduct heat and electricity, as we know that all. So such conduction is due to the mobility of so-called free electrons that are present in the metal. So these free valency electrons are able to move about in metal space lattice to form known as electron cloud or gas. The electrostatic attraction between these clouds and positive ions in the lattice bond the metal atoms together as a solid. So in metallic bond there is electrostatic attraction, in covalent bond there is sharing of electrons, and in ionic bond there is transfer of electrons. The bonds, they are primary bond or secondary bond. The primary bond is ionic bond, covalent bond, metallic bond, whereas the secondary bond, they are hydrogen bond, van der Waals forces, dipole interaction. So the van der Waals forces, that is due to the formation of dipole. And coming to the thermal expansion. So it is due to the kinetic energy of the atoms or the molecules at the given temperature. So at temperature above the absolute zero, the atoms are in constant state of vibration. So this vibration will depend upon the temperature. So greater the kinetic energy, so the vibration will increase. That will increase the amplitude and increase the internal energy. And the interatomic spaces increases as well as. So that is known as thermal expansion. So if temperature continues to increase, the interatomic spaces will increase and state of change, and the change of state will occur, that is the solid changes into the liquid. There are 14 lattice type forms, but metals used in dentistry belongs to the cubic type. Either it could be simple cubic, body centric cubic, or face centric cubic. Here the solid circles, these represents the position of the atom. So their position are located at point of intersection of three sets of parallel planes, each set being perpendicular to other plane. So these planes are known as crystal planes. The non-crystalline phase are the waxes. The glass is considered to be non-crystalline solid. The arrangement of glass is localized within large number of disordered unit between the ordered unit. So since such an arrangement is also a typical of liquid, such solids are known as super cooled liquids. Coming to topic surface tension. So energy at the surface of solid is greater than its interior. So as we see, the energy at the outer surface, it is greater than the energy at the interior surface. So inside a lattice, all atoms are equally attracted to each other. At the surface of lattice, the energy is greater because there are no atoms on the outside. So there is only force from the inside of lattice pulling the outermost atoms inward. So that creates a tension on the outer surface of, so that creates a tension on the outer surface, and energy is needed to pull the outermost atoms away. So the increase in energy per unit area is known as surface tension. Next comes the adhesion and cohesion. So the attraction between the like molecules, like water sticks to itself, is cohesion, whereas the attraction between the unlike molecules is adhesion. Like water stick to other things. For MCQ point, you have to remember is the distance between the surface molecule should not be greater than 0.0007 micrometer. So to produce adhesion, the liquid must flow easily over the entire surface and adhere to the solid. Coming to the contact angle. Contact angle, it is formed by the adhesive. Adhesive is the water and adherent is the glass. So it is the angle formed by adhesive and the adherent. So remember, if there is small contact angle, there will be good wetting. So the adhesive will spread to form a film. If the contact angle is less than 45 degree, the wetting will be less efficient and adhesive has a limited spread. If the angle will be greater than 105 degree, then there will be poor wetting or droplet formation. So few important MCQs. First is the heat of vaporization is defined as we discussed, that the heat required to change solid to liquid, it is known as heat of fusion. And energy required to change liquid to gas, it is known as heat of vaporization. So the answer is energy required to transfer liquid to the vapors. The next question, the phenomenon of transformation of solid to direct to gas. So that is known as sublimation. Of crystal lattice arrangement do most metal used in dentistry belongs to? They belong to the cubic type. As we know, there are 14 lattice arrangement. Out of these, the cubic lattice is most commonly found in metals used in dentistry. The answer is cubic. Other question, for bonding agent to be effective, the wetting angle should be for perfect wetting. The ideal situation for adhesion, this angle should be 0. So this table is given in Phillips and is important. Remember the contact angle of water on the solids. It is greater for the Teflon and lesser for the acrylic sealing materials. Also, contact angle is less for the polyethers and is greater for the condensation silicone and silicone that are hydrophobic. So whenever a force acts on body, it tends to produce deformation. So when a force acts on a body, it tends to produce deformation. A resistance is developed within body to this external force. The internal resistance of the body to the external force is known as the stress. So stress is equal and opposite in direction to the external force applied. So in this direction, if the force is applied, the stress will be in equal and opposite direction. So stress can be defined as force per unit area. So the convenient way is to measure the external force applied to the cross-sectional area. Coming to the type of stresses, so there are three types of stress. Number one is the tensile stress, second is the compressive stress, and third is the shear stress. So first comes the tensile stress. So it results in a body when it is subjected to two set of forces. This is the first force, this is the second force, that are directed away from each other, in the same straight line. The load will tend to elongate a body. Second comes the compressive stress. So when it results when body is subjected to two set of forces in same straight line but toward each other. So the load tends to short a body. And the third forces is the shear stress forces. So it is result of two forces directed parallel to each other. These are parallel to each other, and a stress that tends to resist a twisting motion or sliding motion. Next important term is Poisson's ratio. So if we take a cylinder and subject it to the tensile stress or the compressive stress, there is simultaneous axial and lateral strain. Within the elastic range, the ratio of lateral to the axial strain is known as the Poisson's ratio. For an ideal isotropic material of constant volume, the ratio is generally 0.5. And most engineering material have range between 0.25 to 0.5. If we do a stress strain graph, the stress is plotted on the vertical coordinate and the strain is coordinated on the horizontal component. This graph is known as stress strain graph. The stress strain graph is a straight line until point A. After that, it curves. The point A is the proportional limit or the elastic region, and this portion is the plastic region. The Hooke's law. What is Hooke's law? So the point at which the stress is proportional to strain is the Hooke's law. So a proportional stress can be defined as greatest stress that may be produced in material such that stress is directly proportional to the strain. So beyond the proportional limit, there is a material is elastic in nature. That is, if the load is removed, if you remove the load, the material will return to its original shape. Thus, the elastic limit may be defined as maximum stress that a material will withstand without permanent deformation. So, maximum stress that a material can withstand without change in shape. This is the elastic limit. Next is the yield point. Yield strength is defined as stress at which material exhibit a specified limitation deviation from the proportionality of stress to the strain. So how much of permanent deformation can be tolerated? So this varies from material to material and it is determined by an offset. Offset is an arbitrary value put for material. It represents the percent of total permanent deformation that is acceptable for the material. So the yield strength is a property that represents the stress value at which the small amount of plastic strain has developed. And this point D is the breaking stress and E represents the fracture point. Modulus of elasticity. It is also known as elastic modulus or Young modulus. So it represents the stiffness or rigidity of material without the elastic range. The Young modulus is the ratio of stress to the strain. Since stress is proportional to strain up to the proportional limit, so the stress to strain ratio would be constant. So in dental application, the metal frame of metal ceramic bridge should have high stiffness. If the metal flexes, the porcelain veneer on it might crack or separate. Another term is flexibility. It is the ability of material to return to its original form that indicates its elasticity, but the strain taking place at elastic limit is known as flexibility. So flexibility is the bending capacity. It can be defined as strain that occurs when the material is stretched up to its proportional limit. So maximum flexibility is the proportional limit divided by modulus of elasticity. So it is useful to know that the flexibility of impression material to determine how easily they will be withdrawn or undercuts in the mouth. Next comes the resilience. The term resilience is associated with springiness. So it can be defined as amount of energy absorbed by the structure when it is stressed not to exceed its proportional limit. The resilience of the material is measured in the term of modulus of resilience, that is amount of energy stored in the body when a unit volume of material is stressed to its proportional limit. So modulus of resiliency is defined as P2. P stands for the proportional limit and E is the modulus of elasticity. So the resiliency is measured by the area under the straight line portion of the stress strain graph. So this is the resiliency. Next comes the impact. It is the reaction of the stationary object to a collision with the moving object. So depending upon the resiliency of the object, energy is stored in body without causing deformation or without. So impact resistance, the formula for the impact resistance is V stands for the volume, P is the proportional limit and E is the elastic limit. E is the modulus of elasticity. So the impact resistance will decrease with increase in the modulus of elasticity, which means that the stiffer material will have less impact resistance. Impact strength, it is the energy required to fracture a material under a impact force. So material that can be used can be Charpy type impact tester or heavy pendulum or Izod impact tester. The denture should have high impact strength to prevent it from breaking if they are accidentally dropped by the patient. Next is the strength. So what is strength? It is the maximum stress required to fracture a structure. It is of three types: tensile, compressive and shear strength. Tensile strength is defined as maximum stress the structure will withstand before rupture. The brittle material are difficult to test under the unilateral tension test. Instead, an indirect tensile test called diametric compression test or Brazilian test is used. So in this method, a compressive load is placed on diameter of short cylindrical specimen. Compressive strength or crushing strength, it is determined by compressive strength or crushing strength is determined by subjecting a cylindrical specimen to a compressive load. So the strength value is obtained from cross-sectional area and force applied. Third comes the shear strength. Shear strength is the maximum stress that a material can withstand before failure in shear mode of loading. Other important term is transverse or flexural strength. So transverse strength or modulus of rupture is obtained when load is applied in the middle portion, with the beam supported at each end. So this test is known as 3-point bending test. So here at the margin there will be shear forces and compression and tension forces. So it is used to test the denture base, resin and long span bridges. So complex stress is produced by a 3-point loading of beam. Next comes the topic fatigue. So structure subjected to repeated or cyclic stress below its proportional limit can produce abrupt failure of the structure. So this type of failure is known as fatigue. So fatigue in cyclic stress below its proportional limit. So restoration in the mouth are often subjected to cyclic forces of mastication. Static fatigue, it is phenomena exhibited by some ceramic material. These material support a high static load for long time and then fail abruptly. So this type of fatigue only occurs when the material are stored in the wet environment. Next comes the toughness. So toughness is the energy required to fracture a material. So toughness is measured as total area under the stress strain graph. Next comes the brittleness. A brittle material fracture at or near its proportional limit. The brittle is the opposite of toughness. Glass is brittle at room temperature. It will not bend appreciably without breaking. So many dental materials are brittle. Example is porcelain, cements and dental stone. Ductility. Ductility. It is the ability of material to withstand permanent deformation under a tensile load without rupture. The material that can be drawn into wires is known as ductile. Ductility decreases as the temperature increases. So ductility can be measured by 3 methods. By measuring the percentage elongation after fracture, by measuring reduction in cross-sectional area of the fractured end in comparison to the original area of the wire, and is known as reduction in area method. And third is the cold bend test. So remember for your exam, cold bend test, it is used to measure ductility. Malleability. So malleability is the ability of material to withstand a rupture under compression as hammering or rolling into sheets. So remember, malleability increases with increase in temperature. So gold is most ductile and malleable metal. This property enables manufacturer to beat gold into thin foils. Silver is the second. Among the metals, remember, platinum ranks third in ductility and copper ranks third in malleability. Next comes the hardness. Hardness is difficult to define specifically. There are numerous factors which influence the hardness of material, such as strength, proportional limit, ductility, malleability, etc. So there are many surface hardness tests. They are What are various surface hardness tests? They are Brinell test, Rockwell test, Vickers test, and Knoop's test. First comes the Brinell hardness test. So it is Brinell's test. It is used for the determining the hardness of metal and metallic materials. The Brinell hardness test is related to the proportional limit and ultimate tensile strength of the dental gold alloys. So Brinell test, it is the one of the oldest method for determining the hardness of metals. So in this test, a steel ball is pressed under a specific load into the polished surface of material. So for given load, smaller the indentation, larger is the number and hardness of the material. So remember, neither the Brinell test nor the Rockwell test is suitable for the brittle material. Knoop's hardness test, it employs a diamond tipped tool that is cut into geometric configuration. So the diamond intending tool is used in the Knoop hardness test. It is independent of the ductility of the material. It is independent of ductility of the material. So remember, Knoop hardness and Vickers hardness, they are micro hardness test, and Brinell and Rockwell are the macro hardness test. So which are the macro hardness test? Brinell and Rockwell are the macro hardness test, whereas Knoop's and Vickers are the micro hardness test. The Vickers test is similar to the Brinell test. However, instead of steel ball, we used a diamond intentator. So a diamond in shape of square pyramid is used. The impression is square instead of round. Vickers test, it is used in the ADA for dental casting gold. And which test is suitable for brittle material? It is Vickers test. Rockwell hardness test. Here a steel ball or a conical diamond point is used. The Rockwell test is used for brittle and plastic materials. Other important test is Shore and Barkol. That is used for rubber and plastic. The Shore and Barkol test is used for the rubber and plastics. So the Shore and Barkle test, it is used for measuring the hardness of rubber and plastics. Rheology. So rheology is the study of flow of matter. So important terms that are used in rheology, first comes the viscosity. So viscosity is the resistance offered by liquid when placed in motion. It is measured in poise. So remember viscosity, it is measured in poise or centripoise. Second is the creep. Creep is the time dependent plastic deformation. So time dependent plastic deformation or change that occurs when metal is subjected to constant load near its melting point. So creep can be either, it can be static creep or dynamic creep. Creep is of two types, static or dynamic creep. So static is a time dependent deformation produced in completely set solid, whereas dynamic creep is produced when the stress is applied in fluctuating. When the stress is fluctuating. Flow, it is similar to creep. In dentistry, flow is used instead of creep to describe rheology of amorphous substances. Example is the wax. Coming to the stress and shear strain rate. A liquid is placed between two plates and upper plate is moved to right. The stress required to move the plate is known as shear stress, and the change produced is called shear strain rate. First comes the Newtonian. So this one is the shear stress, and the horizontal component is the shear rate. So shear stress and shear strain can be plotted. The ideal fluid show a shear strain rate that is proportional to the shear stress. So this behavior is known as Newtonian behavior. Pseudoplastic behavior, if the material viscosity decreases with increase in shear rate. This one is pseudoplastic. So if the material viscosity decreases with the increase in shear rate, it is said to exhibit pseudoplastic behavior. Example is the elastomeric impression material. When loaded into tray, show higher viscosity. Third comes the dilatant. So these are the liquid that show increased viscosity as shear rate increases. Example is fluid denture base resin. So remember this figure for your image based MCQs. So thixotropic, these material exhibit a different viscosity after it is deformed. Example, latex paints for sealing show lower viscosity after it is stirred vigorously. So next topic is the color. The color, it is influenced by three factors: physical property of object, assessment of observer, nature of incidence light, and relation to the other colored object. So light, it is part of electromagnetic spectrum. The eye is only sensitive to the visible portion of spectrum, that is 380 to 750 nanometer. So different wavelengths constitute the different colors we perceive. So there are three types of quality of lights. First comes the incandescent light, second is the fluorescent light, and third is the natural daylight. So most dental offices are outfitted with incandescent and fluorescent light. First comes the incandescent light. It emits high concentration of yellow waves that are not suitable for shade matching. It has low color rendering index. Second comes the fluorescent light. It emits high concentration of blue waves that are not suitable for shade matching. So which light is suitable for shade matching? It is the natural daylight. So the northern daylight is considered as the best. It is closest to emitting the full spectrum of white light. The northern daylight, it can be affected by number of factors that could be humidity, pollution, cloud cover, or time of the day. The daylight, it is rich in yellow and orange. It lacks blue and green light. The midday hours around the noon, they are idle. So remember, hours around the noon are ideal for the shade matching. Important for your MCQ point of view. So the color temperature, so that is reported in degree Kelvin. So 1000 red, 2000 yellow, 555K white light, and 6500K northern daylight. So which color temperature suits for the color matching? It's the northern daylight, that is 6500K. Now the color of object can be measured by the factors called hue, chroma, and value. So the primary colors are the red, yellow, and blue. The secondary subtractive color, they are green, purple, and orange. When the subtractive primary colors are combined, they produce black. Additive color, they are the color obtained by emitted light. The primary additive color are red, blue, green. The secondary colors are cyan, yellow, magenta. So there are three attributes of color: hue, chroma, and value. So hue, it refers to the basic color of object, whether it is green, red, or blue. Chroma, the particular color may be dull or more vivid. So this difference in color intensity or strength is known as chroma. So chroma represents the degree of saturation of particular color. So the higher the chroma, more intense is the color. Value, the colors can be separated into light and dark shade. The value represents the amount of lightness or darkness in the color. The lightness, which can be measured independently of the hue, is called the value. So the color perception can be done by rods or cones. So rods, they produce scototopic vision, interpret brightness, note the color. They are highest concentration on the peripheral retina. Cones, they give the photopic color, that is color vision. They are more active under the highest concentration on the central retina, that is the macula. Most color perceptive area of the eye is macula. Metamerism, the appearance of object depends upon the type of the light by which object is viewed. So the object that appear to be color matched under one type of light may appear very different under another light source. So this is known as metamerism. So principle of shade selection: remove the bright colors from the field of view. View patient at the eye level. Shade comparison should be made quickly to avoid eye fatigue within 5 seconds. So commercial shade guides, they can be Vita Classic, Vita Pen 3D Master, or extended range shade guides. So this is Vita Classic shade guide. So this question was asked in your exam. The A refers to red, yellow area. B is the yellow, C gray, and D is red, yellow, gray area. In Vita Classic, 4 categories representing the hue. A is the yellow red, B is the yellow, C is the grey, and D is the red yellow grey. So the hue selection has been made B. The chroma is selected from the gradients within the B tab like B1, B2, B3, B4. Value selection, use of second value order shade guide is recommended. Value oriented shade guides are B1, A1, B2, D2, A2, C1, C2. So the value best determined by squinting with the comparison made at arm length.